3, 2, 1. Hey folks, welcome to Bouncing Brains. I'm Sean Hatfield.
And I'm Freddy G. And I hope that it's hanging well. What's up, man? I haven't seen you in like 48 hours or some shit.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, man. A lot can happen in 48 hours.
Yeah, nah, man.
People have gotten pregnant and lost babies in 48 hours, I think.
Oh, man. Dude, I am fascinated by the conversations going around in Georgia right now, man. Around that whole piece of legislation.
Yeah.
Like, look, man. The argument of, like, you don't know you're pregnant by 6 weeks is a legitimate argument in circumstances. Like, I know chicks who have used hormonal birth control.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to, they basically can't time their ovulation and menstruation anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it just throws off the whole schedule.
Yeah.
You're basically fucking around with the time clock and shit. So yeah, man, there's something there to that. And then, people, if you're unhealthy, I mean, these are all issues that are legitimate, man. But like some of the rhetoric that's being used in the conversation worries the shit out of me, man. Like, I don't think people know how to properly. I mean, we've been having this conversation for so goddamn long, and people still don't know how to properly frame an argument that is going to be, is actually going to communicate with anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what I think, because I've thought of this a lot, because it's basically you turn on the news. That's why I don't watch the news anymore, because all the news is it's bullshit to me. Right, it's just entertainment bullshit. But I think and a lot of people are not gonna like what I'm about to say, but I hope that at least they understand. I think what it really comes down to, it comes down to what everything else in this country and around the world comes down to. It comes down to money. What I'm saying, to get straight to the point, is I think what it really is like this country feels like it's spending a lot of money on these programs, like for abortions and shit like that. So they're trying to figure out a way so that basically, long story short, they don't have to spend that much money anymore. And what other way to do it than to like prevent fucking people from like having the least kind of abortions possible. And yes, I get it. There is people out there that genuinely don't do it because you're killing a baby. I get it. Like, there is people. But as far as the government, I really do think it's a thing that they're trying to prevent, to kind of like, so that they can cut all these funds like out and save more money, so that they can spend more money on bullshit, that they want to spend on.
Okay, well, as far as that goes, man, and again, this is like, comes down to the fact the conversation's not being had in a productive manner. Is I'm all about fiscal responsibility when it comes to government spending and whatnot. But if you're going to do preventative measures, you got to go much farther back than like, oh, we're just going to make abortions illegal so we don't have to pay out money for abortions. Like, you got to go back and go, why the hell are we having so many fucking people having abortions?
Exactly. And this is another thing that I'm going to say, that a lot of people don't fucking agree with me, because they think that just a little pamphlet and a little fucking 3-hour, 2-hour, 30-minute class is enough.
Right.
What I say is, these conversations are not being had to where you're really educating people. Like, I really believe that this new generation that is coming out, there's no other way to say it, but they're really stupefied. Like, they don't know what's really going on. Like, they don't know. You ask a kid right now that is 12, 13 years old, I guarantee you they already fucking. You know what I'm saying? And like I can take the responsibility for like what I'm saying. Like, they 14, 15, they're already having sex. But I guarantee you they don't know, first of all, the responsibility. They don't understand the reality of like how quick somebody can get pregnant. Then you got a baby. Then you got so much time to either have an abortion, have the baby, and shit like that. So my main point to
there's more sex education courses being administered now in schools than there was before.
How effective are they?
Exactly. That's where I was going.
That's true.
And do they involve some form of socialization in that? Like, I mean, think about how awkward your sex education classes.
Let me cap. That's a good point, and that's a good point. Let me cap off and wrap that around real quick, and then y'all can put in that point again. Like, y'all made two great points. My point to that is that even though you're having these courses and you're having these teachings or whatever it is that you want to call them, nobody is really having the conversation of like, look, dude, when you have sexual intercourse, this and this and this can happen. Here's a picture. Here's a video. Look at it. Absorb it. Bro, I was 12 years old when my grandfather had the disease talk with me. I was 12. I was still a virgin, dude. And this dude literally sat down with me and he's like, look, dude, I didn't even know what a condom was or what it looked like. And he's like, look, if you don't wear a condom, and he showed me what it was, and it made my mom real uncomfortable. He was like, why are you explaining this to my child? He's like, because he needs to know. But my grandfather was like so real that like he had this conversation and he's like, if you don't take care of yourself, this and this and this can happen. And then something that he told me that I never forgot as a kid, he's like, once you get AIDS, you're fucked. Like you're gonna die is basically what he said. Now keep in mind, this was way back in the late 80s, early 90s. Medicine wasn't as advanced as it is now. So technically, yeah, back then if you caught AIDS, you were pretty much fucked, you know? Especially if you were poor, broke, and so on and so forth. Now, which brings me to the other point. A lot of these conversations that are supposedly been had like through education, they don't reach the ghettos. Like they don't reach the lower income people. So those are the people that need it most. Because unfortunately, like...
And don't you think it's ironic that in the ghettos and stuff like that is where most of these Planned Parenthood places were put into place? You know?
But it's not working. Like I'm not knocking on that.
Right. They could get condoms there though, and they could get Plan B.
Yeah, okay. But let me ask you.
Yeah.
If you don't understand the real reason, as into why you should use a condom, you think they're gonna fucking use it? You know what that teenager in their mind is gonna think, and they're gonna feel smart about it. Hey, bro, I don't want to use that shit because I don't feel anything when I use a condom. Which is true. When you fuck with a condom, we're all grown here.
You're fucking a condom.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And you don't feel shit. Like, I mean, I'm not going to say you don't feel shit. But we all know that it doesn't feel the same. And in your young, adolescent, and horny mind, all you care about is you know, that nut and what it really feels like. So you don't really think about, like, the consequences that come behind that. So, again, to cap it all around, my main thing is that, like, the real main conversation of the responsibility of what can happen is not being educated, is not being addressed properly. And that's why you can give billions of condoms out, you can give billions of pamphlets out, but if the education is not being properly administered, it's going to continue to happen.
I think part of it is, man, it's an awkward conversation to have. All right,
you have to do
it. No. But think about it this way, man. We're at an impasse here where we're still kind of coming out of being primarily an agricultural society, right? And in an agricultural society, you get them kids married off young, right? You want them, you know, 18. I want them motherfuckers married or engaged and 18, out of my house.
But true or not, 18-year-olds, a lot of them, I don't know how many, but a lot of them are still not well educated.
No. I get that, man. But this is what I'm getting at, man. If that's the case, if you know that you're going to have those kids married off, like by the time they're out of their teenage years, or sometimes before they're out of their teenage years, you know, depending on where you're at.
Yeah.
you're probably more likely to have an honest and engaged conversation with them about like, okay, this is what's about to happen. Whereas, I mean, think about what we're really going through right now, where it's like, okay, the kid turns 18, you're sending them off to go get another 4 years of education. And then after that, they'll probably, have to go into, low wage business and all this shit. What I'm getting at, man, is like nowhere along that line is the parent in any way engaged in that kid's socially sexual life.
Exactly.
So what I'm saying is they have no incentive. I mean, if you're intelligent, you go, oh, fuck, I don't want my kid to be a dumbass. Hey, come over here. Let me show you a picture of gonorrhea and some condoms.
Exactly. No, it's fucking true. Like, what he's saying is absolutely true. And it goes...
I just want to touch up real quick. The talk that my dad had with me wasn't about STDs. It was about getting a girl pregnant. He treated that was like the ultimate STD. So, hey, you don't want to get anyone pregnant. No one. So I think it's like... And it's, I think, like you had touched on it earlier, like it's a class thing, to where like people whose parents aren't at home when they're there, because they're off working. I think those are the people that are suffering because they're not getting any of these lessons,
bro.
From there,
I just read it. What fucking year are we in? I was about to say I just read it in the paper. I just read it a story online. I think it was in Mississippi. This 10-year-old, she came out pregnant, and she's 10, so she didn't know she was pregnant. She just started getting all these weird feelings and shit. Long story short, she was pregnant. She got pregnant by her stepbrother, and again, going back to the point that you just touched, mom was working. She had 2 jobs. She was never around. The stepbrother was supposed to be babysitting her, so on and so forth. And that happened. My point to that story is, I mean, I don't want to knock on parents that are not there for their kids because they can't and they're working. My mom at one point worked 3 jobs, so I get it, but it goes back to what you were saying, like when you live in the ghetto or whatever, and when you don't have, and back to what you were saying, when you don't have that real conversation, whether it's your dad or your mom, because you feel awkward or it's embarrassing, like when that communication is not there, shit like that happens. And then it goes back on the parent thing where you should know better, man. You should know better who you leave your kid with and who you don't. Just because the kid is, I think the kid was 14 or 15 years old, the brother or whatever. Just because you can't just, oh, he's 15, he can take care of her. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to look at all those factors. That's why, again, going back to the parents that are already parents, that's the other mistake that we make as parents, believing that we can just leave a kid to be a kid and they're going to continue to be a kid and they're not going to think about like, oh, I have this feeling in my pants or whatever. Bro, I was 11 when I'm not a fucking professional and I'm not a doctor. I don't know what right way to explain it, but I was 11 years old when I got a funny feeling in my dick. You know what I'm saying? That I had never felt before by myself, and I was like, what's going on? And then later I figured out that it was an erection, right? And that was supposed to happen. But I didn't know that was supposed to happen because it had never happened before. And nobody had ever had that conversation before. The only conversation that at that point that anybody had ever had with me was like, that's your private part. Don't let anybody touch you there. That's all. They didn't tell me why. They didn't tell me nothing. Just don't let nobody touch you there or whatever. But nobody told me that 11, 12, 13 years old, I was going to get these feelings and like what to do with these feelings or whatever. You know what I mean? So it goes back to what you were saying. Conversation, and to tie it with what you were saying, the education, it needs to be a real conversation, no holds barred. It needs to happen. And from DC to your household, it's not happening. And that's why
But there's also kids that you could explain shit to, and they're like naturally dumbasses, dude. I mean, it takes them experience to like figure this shit out, you know?
Yeah. No, okay. So we go back to what
I just say, as long as the resources are there for them to be like, hey, I fucked up, you know, what can I do about this? I think, you know, it's up to them, you know, especially if they're like 18 and up.
Yeah.
You know, I think honestly, if you're like 15, 16 and you're trying to get an abortion, like, no, it's not gonna happen.
I completely agree.
I mean, unless your parents are down for that, but.
Well, here's the thing, man. And we've had this conversation, man. The chemical, like early stage, like before. I mean, when you're talking like early development of the like, you know, the cells are just like clinging to the wall. You're just getting like the formation of the embryonic sac or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, this is not yet a fully a thing yet, man. It's literally a collection of cells, but it's on its way to be a human being. At that point, it's a chemical flush. Like, that's harsh as fuck. You are definitely snuffing out a life.
That's true, though.
But it is a
biologically. I mean,
basically, the woman takes an overdose of hormones, and the body flushes the cells. It's effectively a miscarriage.
So let me ask you this, just to clarify what you just said.
Yeah.
All of this you're saying is before the heartbeat.
Yeah, this would be in that 6-week period leading up to the.
So there, on that specific point, I'm with you, because this is where I clash with a lot of people, and I'm gonna throw it out there. And we good. I mean, we still friends. We have a difference of opinion, and I respect that. This is where I believe where I clashed with our cameraman, because my thing is, with what you just said, I'm cool with everything you just said. That's cool. Hormones, they get flushed out. It's a done deal. In a way, there was nothing really there.
No. Don't fuck around with it. You snuffed a life, but you snuffed it early enough that it is as non-traumatic as possible.
True, and I can live with that. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What I can't live with is
hacking up babies in the womb. Yeah, okay.
And I feel weird even saying it. What I'm not cool with is when the heartbeat is already there. That's what I'm not cool with. Like when the heartbeat is there and you can hear it, and then you.
Well, okay. Let's extend this conversation a little further, because this is what I was talking about earlier about people not actually having the discussion about it. There are further stages beyond that. And by the way, when the heartbeat is beating, that's not too far off from when you get the first brain functions as well.
True.
So, but there's still development stages after that in which you can still do the hormonal flush, and it will basically, you're still talking about a very small bit of biological material in there.
Yeah.
Now, and it's still relatively, you know, considering some of the procedures that have to take place at later stages of development, it's still relatively non-traumatic. You know, it is less traumatic than some of that other shit that has to take place.
I see what you're saying.
Okay, but here's what I'm saying. If we as a society, say Georgia, for example, decides that, okay, the heartbeat, brain function, whatever it is, that 6-week, you know, to like, you know, I think it's 6-week to like 10-week window right there, whatever it is. If that's where we're going to call the line and go, nope, that's a person, I'm cool with that. But if that's the case, they need to provide the facilities so that responsible people who are going, oh shit, you know, a woman goes, fuck, I'm pregnant, I missed my period, because that 6-week window is like there. If somebody's following that you know, menstrual ovulation cycle, then, you know, there's red flags there. There's, you know, steps that have been missed at that point. So, but if the services are not there for them to go and receive that hormonal flush and you know, be responsible in some sense, I mean, don't get me wrong. all right, condoms don't work all the time.
Sure.
What do you call it? The birth control pills don't work all the time.
Especially if you put it on backwards.
Yeah, the cups, the
And-
IED, the
And,
IUDs,
and
or whatever
also,
it
if
is.
you swallow the birth control pills backwards, I don't think they work. But
What I'm getting at, man, is if we're gonna call it at 6 weeks, I'd be totally cool with that. I think that you'd probably get some pushback from some people, obviously.
you
But
said
on-
obviously. Why'd you look at me, bro?
I was just looking at the cameras and checking your colors, dude. Just
I'll be
calm
honest.
down, bro.
I think you gave up a little too quick. That whole like, yeah, man, it's not even a thing at that point. It's like, no. We're at any stage along that point. I mean, you might be able to argue that the morning after pill is about the only point at which we are not talking about ending a possible existence.
Yeah.
Because all you're doing there is not what do you call it? Unpriming the body for the reception of that.
And see, and we go back to the same thing that he said and that you kind of said earlier. Again, man, like and I'm all cool and fine and dandy with it. Like it's fine, it's cool. My thing is back to the education, and it
Yes.
and it goes back
Yes.
to money.
Yeah.
It all ties back to money. If you want to invest all this shit, all this money that is available, because I'm tired of fucking hearing people that it's not available. It's available. If you want to spend all this money, invest it in the right place. Meaning, invest the right of money into the education to educate these kids on why shit happens and how it happens and why it shouldn't happen and the fucking responsibility. This is why I used to run a joke about this. This is why I believe that every man, when they're born, they should have detachable dicks. And you should be able to snatch them when they're born, and they shouldn't be able to get them back when they prove
Okay.
that they have that
Yo,
they're
that sounds a
responsible.
lot more invasive than fucking abortions, bro. I'm just saying.
I was about to say, no. Well, follow me on this, man. Like, all right,
You don't get it. If
No, hey,
they
look.
had a good credit score, they can have their dick back. You know what I'm saying?
all right. Look, great joke premise, and I'd love to see you explore that on stage. But realistically speaking, think about what's happening right now with the debate around the trans kids, where they're giving literally
That's a whole different beast.
But it's the same thing.
No.
You're
Follow me on
Yeah.
this, because they're giving them hormone blockers. They're effectively castrating these children chemically castrating these children at a young age before they're allowed to go into sexual development.
Mhm.
You do not want to go. One of the reasons that just raises the hackles on me, man, and gets a very visceral response is because we're starting to talk about the idea of being able to essentially chemically snatch that kid or that that little boy or that little girl's sexual possibilities away, man. Where it's like, oh, we can just make you a thing. Like you won't be. I mean, you'll have the dangly bits, but they won't work.
also like
and what
hormones go so much into like your development as a
Exactly.
person.
Yeah.
And
Now,
they're fucking with
the
those. Yeah.
pushback that I have on that, and there's been a lot of people that give me pushback on what I'm about to say too, is that's another problem. What you just said, when they start doing this, first of all, when you're such a small child, where first of all, let's be real, when you're a small child, you're not fully sexually developed yet. That's
No,
one
yeah.
thing.
Not even mentally.
Exactly. Second thing is, and this is the part where I get shit, like when you're not sexually developed, bro, you cannot know I like a woman, I like a man. You there's a feeling of like, for some people, I believe there's a feeling where like, hey, I'm attracted to the opposite sex. Yes, but you don't know if you're sexually like attracted to like a man or a woman, which brings me back to this point. When you're a child, I believe that again, sexually, like you're not gonna know if you're gonna wanna be um like a man or if you're a little boy, you're not gonna be like I want to be a little girl. Again, this is my personal.
Yeah,
belief.
there was a while there where I wanted to be a little girl because little girls didn't go outside and sweat. Yeah. And I wanted to stay inside
You
and just
stupid
chill, you know.
motherfucker.
All right.
Yeah, imagine if I had parents that were hippies like that, dude. They'd start me on hormone therapy right as soon as I said that.
I just feel going back to your point.
Well, what I was going to say was, man, everything you just said, for the most part, man, is entirely applicable to every individual child in the sense that, all right, consider this. Do you believe that there's not somebody out there who has not already considered that, hey, if you want to, control, say, population or, say, underage sexual delinquency, just hormonally castrate them, they'll never even think about fucking. You just do that with the whole population, and then, at a certain point, they turn 21, you hit them up.
Don't they do
Yo, that's
something?
some real lizard people shit, dude.
Yes,
Yeah,
that is.
yeah.
Dude.
But do you not think that thought has been had?
Don't they do some shit like that in China or some shit? Not like that, but
Well, we
they
do that in prison.
Yeah,
Like-
dude. They
Yeah.
do it in prison, bro.
Yeah. I know
Okay,
that.
but follow me on that. So we got that established. Consider the idea that what we currently do socially is that when our kids become adolescents and start going through sexual development, we kind of socially castrate them in that we just kind of stick our fingers in our ears and like la 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 la, we just ignore that altogether. So like we're not allowing them to socially develop as these, sexually emerging animals that they are.
And
It's
again,
'cause they see. Yeah.
and
go ahead,
again, you know why? Because of communication. You are not having that communication, and you're not giving that
Well, dude,
education.
nobody wants to talk about kids fucking.
Exactly, and that's a problem. That's a fucking problem. And it's funny that we're talking about this because not too long ago, I had a conversation with the mother of my kid, and I made her feel uncomfortable because I told her that I was gonna be 1,000% honest with my kid when it came to that. Like, no matter what, I feel that if the kid is old enough to ask, it means because they're already curious.
And also, they've already come across that information, so you better acknowledge that as
Yeah,
a
you just
thing.
want a
Exactly.
second
Exactly.
point of view.
So I told her that conversation could go one of two ways. She's gonna feel the openness of like, hey, I can go to mom and dad, or she's gonna be like, I can't go to mom and dad because they're gonna flip the fuck out. What they're gonna do, they're gonna go to their friend. Who do you think is gonna give them better advice? Her parents or her friends? Her friends are gonna tell her, go fuck, it's fun. Try it out. It's fun. They're not gonna explain consequences. They're not gonna explain nothing because they don't know. So my point is that I told her it's very important, and I was like, I encourage you to do the same, to keep an open dialogue with our daughter, because with whatever, when she comes and asks me about drugs, when she comes and asks me, because she keeps throwing in my face of like my past and like the shit that I used to do. And I told her, I was like, look, first of all, I don't do that anymore. Second of all, I can't shy away from my past because my past, in a way, made me the person that I am today. So if you're trying to ask me, am I going to tell her? Yes, I'm going to tell her, look, your dad did this and this and this and the other. I advise you not to do it because I went through it. I don't want you to go through the same thing. At the end of the fucking day, that person, because that's what they are and that's what you need to treat them as, they're gonna do what they feel like. But at least my point is, at least I, as a parent, was given the opportunity to educate my kid
Yo,
and
but
give her the right information.
you have a little girl, right?
I know where you're going with it, but go ahead.
Okay. How would you feel about your little girl not having certain rights that everyone else has in this country?
As in,
The right to her body.
that's not what I'm talking about, though.
But this is like, I think this goes hand in hand with the abortion topic.
And that's where I was going with it.
All right, go on.
So, again, going back to what I was saying, you have to have that conversation with her. But in order to hit the abortion conversation with a child, you need to explain this happens because of this and this and this and this and this. After you've explained thoroughly in a way that that child can understand, then if she's still well, I feel that I wanna do it this way. That decision is, as crazy as it may sound, that's on her. We're not robots, bro. You can't control somebody's, like, this is not a dictatorship.
No,
You know
but
what I'm saying?
I feel like if a woman has the need to, like, or she thinks that she's not going to have the need to have kids, or she doesn't want to have kids, and she sees that having kids in her future just doesn't make sense, then I think it's her right to go to, like, Planned Parenthood, someplace like that, where she could get her tubes tied, you know, or cut.
That's
Okay,
fine.
But that's
but
that's
an interesting-
That's fine.
But you can't do that.
That
Because by law, you have to have at least 3 kids, have to be within a certain age.
I understand that.
Whereas like a guy could walk
that's-
in 19, 18 years old into like a doctor's office
Yeah.
and say, hey, I want a vasectomy. And
Yeah.
that he could get it.
And that's what I'm telling you. That this is where we're connecting. That's what I'm telling you. Again, education, and if at the and I'm gonna have the same conversation with her. Mija, I would like to have fucking grandkids at some point, you know what I'm saying? If I live long enough, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, if it's her decision, you know what? I am, and again, what I'm about to say is just gonna sound fucked up, but understand where I'm coming from. If at the end of the day, like, she wants to be selfish and it's like, I want me time and I want everything for me and I don't want to share it with another, like, little human being, that's fine. That is your right as a person. You know what I mean? So she should have the right to be like, you know what? I don't want kids. I'm gonna get my tubes tied. That's fine. But I will feel comfortable with her making that decision when I know 1,000% that she has all the information equipped to make that decision. So once she understands 1,000% everything that I've explained to her, and if she's still like, hey, you know what, kids are just not for me, that's a decision on you. I can't be like, no, you can't do it. You got to give me at least one grandkid, because it's not my life, dude. And I go back to what I said earlier.
But if she understands everything,
Mm-hmm.
you think it's like an injustice that she doesn't have the right to go do that?
Yeah, to get her tubes tied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah.
as an
And I
American,
said,
you know.
I
we want everyone to be
don't think
free.
if you fucking heard me, but I said I agree.
Yeah. I heard you. I just wanted to bring it back to
I'm
that.
fucking with you, bro. I love fucking with him. He's so pickable.
America.
Yeah. America. It's not America. It's America. Remember that.
Look, man, that does go along with furthering the conversation. Like the conversation around having your tubes tied as a man or a woman is rarely one that's brought up when it comes to, you know, let's say sexual education.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it seems like a weird foreign idea to me. Like, you just kind of ceasing participation in the genetic game, but whatever, you do you.
Y'all want me to keep it all the way real with you? Like, and I can't make a full justification on this based on the fact that when I was in high school, I never went to class, right? But the couple of times that I did go to class, the whole time I was in high school, dude, I do not remember being educated on like the sexual reproductive system, on abortion, on I don't. Maybe it was on one of them days that I didn't like I didn't go to class. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't even know what class taught it. I don't know if it's science or fucking physics or whatever fucking class you take in high school or whatever, or physical education, whatever. But point is, this is my point. My point is that even more so back then, and even now, I'm relating it to today. Like they, we were not given like the proper education from school, which goes back to what you were saying and back to what you were
Well,
saying.
let me play devil's advocate for a second, man. We have so completely desexualized our society that, I mean, think about it. All of our pets are spayed and neutered. Like, when's the last time a kid, or when does a kid ever have an opportunity to actually witness what the fuck sex is outside of pornography, which is a whole different conversation. No, but think about it. Pornography is fucking chapter 1 of a long fucking book about what the fuck, you know.
Yeah, but I don't.
You don't have the morning, waking up, covered in fucking bodily fluids. Like, oh shit, now we got to clean this stuff up. After the fucking, hey, I got to go take a piss real quick because I don't want to get a fucking yeast infection. Fucking, oh, hey, let me get you a fucking Uber home. Are we gonna see each other?
Oh, well,
tomorrow?
those are just manners.
Yeah, but no one's teaching these sexual manners, bro.
Dude, but you can't divorce that
That's
from
what
the
I
sexual act. This is all one grand fucking thing.
And that's what I'm saying.
Oh shit, she got pregnant. Now we got to deal with that. That's what I'm saying, man. You can't get any of that from pornography. Pornography almost has to be divorced entirely
They
from.
also have like
And this is
they have
where,
like elite athletes doing porn too, so it's like unrealistic.
This is
You can
where
find ugly people fucking, man.
Yeah.
The internet is a
Touche,
weird
yeah,
place.
yeah.
this is where I'm gonna flip y'all's brains upside down.
I doubt it.
This also ties into our young kids not having a real job.
I was gonna, you know what? Thinking along the same vein patterns
Yeah.
here, man. These whole like, all right, you want to have an abstinence only education? Okay, you better find something to do with that fucking kid. You need to keep that kid busy as fuck.
Yeah.
And
No,
interested too.
but
they have to be doing some shit that's actually going to engage them.
True.
Or fucking's gonna come up.
True,
But how does that work out, dude? Because in my head, I'm thinking, hey, if I was a teenage kid and my hormones were everywhere, and my parents allowed me to get a job, that just opened the door to more people to fuck.
No,
You know?
okay.
Yeah, but if you're busy, when are you doing
I-
this fucking?
You still find time. That's
You
not
still-
the point.
yeah, dude, breaks,
you'll find time.
lunch,
Okay?
like-
lunch breaks, backseat of a car, behind the dumpster, Peter Piper.
I get the whole busy part, but I'm saying that there's gonna be kids. Kids are gonna find a
Yeah,
way,
exactly.
a
Okay,
place.
well,
to fuck.
that right
hold on,
there
hold
is
on.
another
I-
angle for the
I
whole
like-
condom debate, because it's like, hey,
I
you
like
got to
the-
fuck real quick and get out of here. Nobody wants to leave a mess. Use a condom.
I like where he was going with it because that's kind of where I was going. What I
How
was
so?
saying, what I was saying as far as the job, it goes back to the responsibility.
Yeah.
After you've explained to the kid, this is what happens when you fuck. These are the diseases. It also comes with the responsibility of finance. So you need to explain to this 13-year-old kid, when you have another one of you come out of this girl, there is a financial responsibility, which leads back to what I said at the beginning when I said the job. Bro, a fucking job at McDonald's is not going to hold your fucking kid. So that's what I'm saying of these kids not being educated and being told. They're like, if you're going to have a kid and if you're going to decide to keep it or have an abortion, this shit costs money. So because these kids are not given that knowledge extensively to where like you got to work, you got to whichever which way you decide to go, you have to, you're going to need money. You understand? This is why I'm also against if you're going to have these programs, I'm against these programs being free, like to the people, like at no cost, because you're kind of giving them a free ride. no pun intended. Um, you're giving them a free ride in the way that you okay. You know what? I fucked up. You know what? But if we go have an abortion or whatever, if I tell them I'm low income, I don't have money, like somebody else is gonna pay for it, whatever.
Yeah, but to be honest, this is gonna sound super fucked up. I think that's okay, man. Let them take advantage of their free ride. Let them rack in all those abortions
Why?
and shit like that.
So they can do it again?
Bro, no, because they're gonna keep doing it to the point where they can't do it again because the girl, mainly because the girl can't have any more abortions, but she can't get pregnant either.
So have them kill 4 babies.
I mean, if they terminate them first in the first trimester, I don't see a problem with that. You might see a problem with that, but I also see it as a good point as like people that are low income, low IQ, all these defects that we don't want in our society.
I'm sensing a strong eugenics vibe coming off Joaquin here, man.
Yeah, like let's keep these dumb, ignorant people down to a minimum.
Let me. I gotta push back on just
if
that.
If a rich kid gets pregnant, you know what? I'm more hopeful.
Rich people do not have a smart fucking kid.
No, but they have money, so where this kid at least is going somewhere. You know, he has something to fall back on.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly why our society is fucked up. That's not the solution, bro. Because all I'm saying is, let's say that 2 dumbass people have a kid, right? They're like, I mean, IQ low, fucking like below 60 and shit.
Yo, no, that's cool too. But if they're making money and they could afford to have a kid, where they don't have to rely on the government.
If you're stupid, how are you making money?
Yo, stupid people are good at working too, man. Stupid doesn't mean you're not a hard worker.
My point was,
if you're putting in 80 hours at your job.
So my point was,
there actually is a statistical connection between your IQ and how successful you can be in life. There's a cutoff. Like I think it's like 83, where below that you just too dumb.
Exactly.
And I'm just saying, hey, stupid couple that makes like $50,000 a year.
They're not that stupid
with one kid. I don't know. They don't. I mean, one of the guys could work at a mechanic shop just twisting wrenches.
They're too stupid.
How do you think? What do you mean?
You just said yourself.
You cut grass. That doesn't take. You could have a little grass cutting
you went from being a mechanic to fucking cutting grass.
I'm just saying,
you're not gonna make 50,000.
There's these blue collar jobs,
dude. You might be. How old are you, Joaquin?
I'm 27.
You're not that much younger, man. Like, look, there was a thing. I think it was back in like the early 2000s, man. Like the guy with the highest recorded intelligence in the U.S. at one point was a fucking bouncer at a bar.
Yikes.
Yeah.
This was my point, man. But
still, like, I mean, I think it has to be 2 things. Like, it has to be the IQ and then your money. If you're smart, but you're not making dick, bro, then don't have a kid.
Then you're not smart.
But you got to think about that shit, man. I mean, like, literally, the person has to think about it. If they're not that smart, they're not going to. All right. How about this? I let's step back from the eugenics, Herr Joaquin, and maybe consider for a second. I know I shouldn't be throwing the hyperbole around, but I mean, seriously, especially considering the U.S. eugenics program is what fucking.
Isn't eugenics a testosterone booster?
No, man. Eugenics is the practice of selective breeding amongst the human species.
You get the elite.
Yeah. We'll all have perfect teeth, and
this was my point, man. You get two stupid people with an IQ of 60, right? Because I think it's 60 or 59 where you're like legally retarded. I think
it's 75.
No, I think it's 60.
60?
I think
that's way low.
Yeah, it's really low. I think it's where you're like legally retarded. Anyway, you get 2 people with an IQ of like 60. When these 2 people have intercourse, it doesn't mean that they're gonna give birth to a stupid child. So
no, but the fact that they're stupid, and if they're stupid, they're low income, right?
Technically,
okay. They're gonna be relying on government funds. This kid's gonna be a liability to the taxpayers in nationwide. Because of federal programs like WIC and food stamps and maybe even welfare if the parents have like a
Okay.
a job that doesn't apply enough, that doesn't provide enough, you know.
Okay.
So at this point, it's going to end up costing the government money for this kid. People that are like financially responsible to have their own kids and not rely and not be a burden on the government. I think those are the people we should be helping out.
How that's what I'm saying.
What do you mean helping out?
My bad. The other way. I think the dumb people are the people we should be helping out, not to have kids. You know?
So you want them to have an IQ test before they fucking have?
No, I mean realistically, no. But I do see the point of putting these Planned Parenthood clinics in low-income areas, because
It's just like I understand what you're saying.
That sounds so bad. I know it does.
What
but
you're
bro,
not, what you're not
sense.
understanding,
Yeah.
and you're not gonna lie.
I think the real problem with that, though, man, is like the next person that comes along and they go, "Oh, I get it. The low income people are who we don't want breeding," and you're like, "No, I was just trying to be helpful," and they're like, "No, I get it. You're being helpful, very helpful."
You know what I've noticed too? There's not enough Planned Parenthood clinics in trailer parks, in trailer park areas.
Not a lot of permanent buildings in trailer parks.
Hey, if they need a portable building, you think the portable building's good enough?
Oh, dude, that's when you go the China route. You got the fucking abortion vans, man.
They actually have a
same
portable. They actually do have a portable.
Yeah,
building.
those facilities are well available, man.
It goes like if you go that route, and I know you're not gonna like what I'm gonna say, but if you go that route, man, of like putting this shit in like the low income areas and basically the ghettos, that is just a way. And I know you're not gonna agree with me, but just try to understand. That is just a way to create another way to keep people, the low income people that you're pointing fingers at, trapped in the system.
No, man, I'm actually giving them a leg out. They don't have to work as much because they don't have as many kids.
That's not the fucking point.
You know, they could actually go to college and not have to worry about taking care of their kid, who's gonna like spend time and money on my kid. They could actually revert that to themselves and go to night school. You know, get your education.
This is what I'm saying. Let me put it to you like this. And this is another thing that I'm sure you're not gonna agree with me as well. And it's gonna sound weird. I strongly believe that there really isn't stupid people. I really don't believe. I believe that there is people that because of lack of resources, and I'm speaking from experience. I went through this. There's people because of lack of resources, lack of income, and the place where you grew up, and the most important, lack of education to the parent, not to the kid, to the parent. You're put in a system that was designed for you to fail.
Yeah.
Now, what do I mean by that? Again, I don't mind fucking sharing my experience. When I was a kid, I was diagnosed with my disability. The first thing they did when I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, no bullshit, they told my mom that I was retarded, that I was mentally like slow, retarded. So what they did, without testing me, without fucking testing my intellectual ability to see if I could hang intellectually with the regular kids, they stuck me in special ed classes. And I was in special ed classes until I got to fucking high school. My point, had I been given the proper resources that every other regular kid was given and the opportunity that every other regular kid was given, I feel that I would have been able to grow up enough and fast enough and learn like the other kids, just like everybody else. But I was put in the system. I was put in a system that was designed to like hold me back. And the biggest proof that I got of this, and I don't mind saying it, and people are gonna listen to this, they're gonna hate me for it. When I was put in special ed, bro, I was put like with some real fucking retarded people, bro. Like I'll never forget, dude. I walked in there and everybody was sitting in a chair and shit. Like these grown kids, they were kids, but like they were grown, you know. And I was put in there, and they were literally putting blocks through a table. It's like put the blue block to the square. You're gonna put the yellow circle through. And I was like, I can do this shit. Like, what? Like, and then they started giving me these problems of like 4 plus 4, 10 plus 10, 25 plus 25, or whatever the case is. And I was like solving them. Like, and when I was going through this, I felt stupid because I felt like they were telling me that I didn't know the shit that I already knew. You know what I'm saying? Because I knew it. And then I was never given that opportunity to test my knowledge with the regular kids. Again, because my mother was not properly educated on the opportunities that were available, it wasn't her fault either. You know? So I was like trapped. So my main point to all of this is to go back to yours. If you give a person that you think is stupid or retarded or intellectually challenged or whatever the fucking case may be, give them the chance to, again, properly teach them and properly educate them, there would be a more successful rate. Why don't they want to do it, bro?
Because they do that at Planned Parenthood, bro.
What do you?
They have classes and shit like this. They have sex education classes.
Again, we go back to the same argument. They have classes, bro.
Yeah.
They don't have classes. They have classes. They have classes that teach you, hey, bro, you got a penis, you put it in there, this happens.
Yeah.
Here's your condom. Going, that's not a fucking education. How does that happen? Why does that happen? What happens after that?
And they'll break down the trimesters for you and shit, dude. Okay. They'll also break down like when it's likely that you're gonna have, like when you should probably stay away from sex, because in your cycle and then in the man's cycle too, this is probably when you're more like ridden with hormones that are like more indicative of pregnancies.
Do they tell you what happens after you have the baby?
Yeah, they inform you, hey, this is how much a baby costs. This is how much babies like in a long term will cost. And that's just now. As times have told, like the later we get, like the more futuristic stuff gets, the more expensive stuff gets, you know?
I get it, but the key word, what did you just say?
What?
This is happening now.
Yeah. So
what I feel that they're going back to what you were saying earlier, that they're trying to do. Again, I may be wrong, but I feel that they're trying to retract to fix like shit that like already happened. So I
mean, I feel like if people go in there without a clue on how babies are made, and maybe they had an abortion already, but they were like clueless to, okay, how do we prevent this? They could learn about abstinence. They could learn, hey, condoms, Plan B pill. You know, and it's not...
My point was...
It's not a full-on abortion at that point. You know, it's not an abortion.
Just to be clear, man, I don't know exactly what Freddy's beef might be with Planned Parenthood. My beef at all with Planned Parenthood. The only thing, I'm all for the education, for the availability of clinical resources.
Mine's just not proper education as well. I feel they're not being properly educated.
Right, but also there is the whole thing that there has been incentivization for, say, the leavings. The whole question of whether or not there has been the sale of fetal tissue is fetal and infant tissue.
Yo, bro, that's where you get stem cells, bro.
No, as a matter of fact, we've found out that fetal and embryonic stem cells are way less useful than...
No joke.
Huh?
No joke. They're not as useful as
Well, think about it like this,
as
man.
like as stem cells from
Fetal-
an actual, like from yourself or from people.
Yeah, if you can just take your fat cells and spin it out and create a stem cell from that, and then they can re-inject it back into you, and you're using your own resources. But here's the thing.
Okay, because I didn't know about the I don't want to call them excrements, but that sounds dick, right?
Yeah.
Dude, you can go listen to some interviews with some like former Planned Parenthood employees, and then there's that Veritas video, which is you can argue that Veritas
if they're
was
being
edited.
sold for science, like if they're being sold to better like mankind.
No. Here's the thing. I don't think selling should ever be a part of this. If the parent, and that's what they are, even if they've just snuffed out the life that may have been a child, they are the parent, the donor individual. If they decide that they want to donate that tissue to some scientific research, that's fine. But having a market for fetal and infant and embryonic tissue sets a very disturbing precedent for what we're willing to accept as a society. It's like, hey, man, can I buy some baby hearts? That ain't right. That ain't right, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I
that
get you.
conversation should never happen.
I get you, but I still like me personally. I'm against abortions, but politically, I think it's it's every American's right to have a right.
By the way,
to have
just so you know, you're an asshole because that's not what you told me.
No,
Go
dude,
ahead.
no. I'm against like me. Like I would never get an abortion. If I got someone pregnant, I would take responsibility for that baby.
Again, you didn't tell me that, but go ahead.
No, but I think if we're living in a free society, if this is a nation of the free, then we should have the rights to do whatever we want to do with our bodies. If a woman wants to get an abortion, I think that's her right.
Hey, I wanted to make a quick side note on the stem cell conversation that you brought up. I was reading a couple of weeks ago on stem cell research, and I read an article that said that they figured out that through stem cell research, there is progress to cure, and I don't want to misquote this. Cure is not the right word. Treat better, I guess. Cerebral palsy. So they ran a test. I think they're up to 60 people right now. They took 60 people. There's 3 stages of cerebral palsy. Long story short, there's mild, there is intermediate, and then there's severe. I have intermediate. So they've tested all 3 of them, right? Oh, and then I think the age gap was from 18 to 25. No, I'm lying. From 10 to 25. I think from a kid to 25 or whatever. So and one of the ones that had severe cerebral palsy, they were locked in a wheelchair. Couldn't move body. They were literally like curled up like in a ball or whatever. So they did the stem cells, and they did it over a period of 6 months. Again, long story short, they saw the progress. The most severe one that was in the wheelchair, he was now able to walk, like without his wheelchair, so on and so forth. The intermediate one was a girl. On this was boys and girls or whatever. Which was a girl. They didn't see a change in her physical mobility, but they saw a change in her brain. The response in her brain was much quicker, which related to the synapses in her brain and her response time to be like a regular person. And then in the 10-year-old, they were able to find they're thinking, they can't prove it yet, but they're thinking that they were able to reverse the issue. They're still running the study right now.
Yeah, but can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Cerebral palsy, is it like is it something that affects your brain, or is it your
cerebral palsy? Yes.
So, but it affects your brain's communication towards your muscles, right?
It affects everything. It affects communication towards your muscles, communication verbally, your intellectual ability. It basically affects everything.
So
But what it affects the most is your motor skills.
so like if you had like let's say if you were like working out
Mm-hmm.
and practicing I guess your motor skills through weight training and cardiovascular exercise, would that like I guess like
Improve?
help improve
Yeah.
your
Yes,
condition?
and I'll explain it like this. Two things can happen to me. I have the intermediate cerebral palsy. Two things can happen. If I don't stay active and work out or do just some kind of daily activity physically, I could end up in a wheelchair. Like today. In a couple of years, if I do nothing physically, I will end up in a wheelchair for sure. Right? If I don't do anything. On the flip side of it, if I were to go ham, for people that don't know, hard as a motherfucker, like working out, but I mean hard. I mean like Floyd Mayweather workouts daily. There is a way where with the way they name it, I could make my disability disappear. That's what they say. I never seen it, right? What they mean by disappear is because it's in the brain, it's still gonna be there. Like I'm always gonna have cerebral palsy. But they mean disappear as in I can get to the point where I can physically function like y'all, like a regular person, and you would never know that I have cerebral palsy. But and the science behind it is very simple. The reason that it works that way is because technically in y'all's brains work perfectly fine. So y'all have something in your brain that in a sense your muscles, even though you're not doing anything right now, because your brain works, your muscles are still generating and they're moving. You might not feel them, but your muscles are moving right now. I don't have that. So everything that you do without doing anything, I have to do manually. Like I have to do it physically. So if I don't do it, that's how you deteriorate. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you got to keep physically active or whatever. Anyway, what I was saying is there is a way that if I work out every single day, but you have to work out like really hard, I could make the disability disappear to the point where it's not physically noticeable. But on the flip side, I could, if I don't do anything about it, I could end up in a wheelchair. And the thing that sucks about cerebral palsy is that it doesn't take very long. I've heard that if I just do not do anything physically for I think it's 3 to 4 years, I end up in a wheelchair. And then once you're in a wheelchair, not that you're entirely fucked, but it's 100 times harder to get back to even this, being able to like be mobile or whatever. And that's because it's a brain thing. And a lot of people have asked me, so like for people to find a cure to your disability, what would need to happen? The best way that I explain it is, unfortunately, I would need a brain transplant. And scientifically, they haven't figured out how to do that yet. I mean, not as far as I know.
But you could like essentially rewire your brain, can't you?
Going back to the stem cell research shit.
I mean, but I'm guessing you could do that on your own, can't you? Because if you could rewire someone's brain to like associate,
you don't.
things
And I'm
differently.
sorry. There's one important piece that I didn't explain.
Yeah.
Half of my brain is dead.
Yeah, it's okay, dude. People don't even use the whole brain.
Well, yeah. Well, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Like unfortunately, the half that is dead is the half that helps you with your motor skills. So because it's dead, it's just there. It's just basically it's taking up space. So going back to what I was saying earlier, that's why everything.
Maybe not even like if they could just revive those cells in your brain,
Technically,
like with the stem cells, like you were saying.
like in a perfect world, if somebody, you know how like when you die, when a person dies, and they do that shock shit, if somebody could do that to my brain without killing me, and they could sustain the live synapses and revive the cells again, in a perfect world, that would cure my disability. But science is not further enough to where they can like recreate that or do that. So that's why. So going back to the stem cells, that's what they figured out how to do. Which,
Yeah, and I gotta imagine they're gonna need to do a long-term study with that to
exactly,
follow
they've
up on
only
it.
been doing this for, I think this is a research bro of 7 years.
And well, this is like more of a personal question, but do you have any hopes that eventually
Nah.
the science is going to end up helping
Nah.
you out with your no?
Good point. No, and it's a strong no, because it's not done. But I started writing a joke about it, and just the punchline I got right now is nah, man, because I don't want to wake up one day and my limp is gone and I'm perfectly fine. But
I mean,
then-
but you could choose to have the limp in. I mean, you could
but
still.
then my whole comedy career will be gone, and then what the fuck am I gonna do?
Bro, you'd be known as the guy that beat cerebral palsy.
No, I'd rather be funny.
You get like at least a 2-year window on where you just ride that.
Yo, but then that's when you stop working out, bro. And like, oh, hey guys, I'm back. I'm back. Yo, that little little break I got.
But to be honest with you, man, no, I don't think. Going back to the conversation that we had on the previous episode, I think it was with y'all. I've had so many conversations about the humans were the creatures on Earth that were so easy to adapt to our environment. It was here, right?
We were talking about that.
So we were adapted, whatever. So my point is, I've lived with this shit like my whole life. That this is kind of like all I know, to where, it's gonna sound really fucked up, but if really I were to wake up one day and my limp is gone, I would feel fucking weird. Like I would feel like a part of me is missing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, a lot of people don't understand, man. Like, I'm fine with it.
I kind of get you, dude. Because like I have bipolar disorder, so whenever I was on the medication for that, like I felt normal. I felt like what I think I should have been feeling like, but I still felt like a lot of like my personality was inhibited because of the medication.
Yeah.
You know.
That's why weed balances you out, man.
I to a certain point, I think.
Yeah. And I'm not saying you. I'm saying like in general. Like I think.
I think if it's taken as a medicine,
people that are listening, y'all don't have to agree with me. It's fine. Like I'm not pushing it on you, but I just think that if like we all got issues, everybody, we all got some kind of issues that we're all trying to work out, whatever it is. I just think that if we all just smoke just a little bit more weed, I just think it would balance the fuck out of it. It's not even a joke. I really do mean it.
You trying to get Raw as a sponsorship or what? Raw rolling papers, shout out.
Hell yeah. So anyway, because you made a good point. The only thing that I would like is another thing that a lot of people don't know. Because of my condition, I suffer from chronic back pain. And when I tell you chronic back pain, I really mean 100% chronic back pain. That means my back hurts every day, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, 366 on a leap year, whether I'm sitting down, laying down, standing up, walking, my back hurts, right? And it's a bitch. But like, I never thought that I would be able to say this. After you feel pain for so much, for so long, you just kind of learn to like cope with it. Like it's there and you live with it, you know? And I mean, yeah, it hurts, but you deal with it. So the only thing I'm saying is that would be the only thing that I would be grateful for. If somebody came and they would be like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna give you a choice. I'm gonna fix you, and you're no longer gonna have cerebral palsy, or I'm gonna get rid of your back pain for the rest of your life." I would 1,000%
Going for the
choose
back pain.
to get my back pain, because it would be great. I would like to know just for a day, and I have gotten to know for a day what it's like to not be with back pain, and that's when I was high as shit from morphine and marijuana. Marijuana really does take 100% of my pain while I'm under the influence, right? But it does take it away. You take a good sativa, and you get so much shit done during the day, man. You really do. But I hope I answered your question
Yeah.
without losing you through my rant.
No, it just made me think of weed now.
So
weed's so good for
I
everything, bro.
do wanna throw it out there, man. Like I'm not a marijuana user. I'm really not. I've used it in the past.
Would you say you're an advocate for marijuana?
I was
though?
about to say.
Yeah.
I'd say that I advocate it if you're. I don't want to fucking sound like a commercial. I was gonna say, I advocate it if you're gonna use it responsibly. Just kind of like alcohol.
I think the theme of the show today is responsibility. Whether it's your penis or the plant.
Or exactly.
Yeah.
Use some shits wisely.
So responsibility. Your penis, a condom, or marijuana, use them responsibly.
Uncle Freddy says use them shits wisely.
Yeah, use them wisely. You heard it here first, maybe.
If you heard it here first, you have been bereft of responsible advice in your life. Nobody has cared for you at all.
At all.
If
Ever.
this is the first time you have heard that message.
Yep.
Fuck.
Um,
You're probably in that percentile that I thought should not have kids.
Fuck you too. And I do have a kid, and I love her to death.
Hey,
Even
bro.
though I do think she's a little off sometimes. Yeah, man.
Yeah, but you're at least financially responsible for your kid.
Well, I mean, my ex-wife don't think that, but thank you, man. I appreciate that at least somebody does think that. You know what I'm saying? Thank you. That means a lot. But anyway, back to your marijuana advocate. If you're gonna use it responsibly, man, I really do think. I don't like the stigma that comes behind the use of marijuana.
You know what gets me though? When you're touching, go ahead.
I really felt uncomfortable with what you told me earlier. And that's because I'm not even a marijuana user. But I didn't like the fact that you related laziness to like when somebody's under the influence of marijuana. Because
but that's
if you're high and lazy, I'm going to be honest with you, bro. It's just because you're lazy. That plant is not making you lazy. I'm gonna give you an example.
Yeah, but you're talking about.
Have you ever taken a sleep aid, the pill?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That sleep aid, when you wake up in the morning and you gotta go to work, you're not gonna take that sleep aid, right?
No.
Because it's gonna fucking make you drowsy.
Yeah.
Common fucking sense. So if you know that there's marijuana, because we all know, we're all smart enough to know that there's different strands. Do your research. It's like medicine. You're not gonna get me off that because people have given me pushback on it. So there's different strands. If you're a pot smoker, I'm pretty sure that by now it's not the first joint that you light. So by now you should at least know. Okay, if I smoke this. This is for nighttime. It's gonna make me go memes. I'm gonna feel real good. I'm gonna be relaxed. I'm gonna pass out. I'm gonna wake up re-energized. But I'm not gonna smoke this throughout the day because it's gonna make me feel drowsy. Or it's gonna make me feel whatever. If you got shit to do, if you gotta go out, if you gotta be productive, you smoke. You take a sativa, or there's some people that like a balance. You take a hybrid.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you this, man. This is where legalization of marijuana would come into effect. It will be useful, especially in my case.
I agree.
Because sometimes, I mean, I have no choice but
and
to
it takes my back pain away?
Well, yeah, but
So Texas, hurry the fuck up.
but sometimes, I mean, if you're buying shit here in Texas where it's illegal, you have no choice but to like buy whatever.
That's
is available.
not true.
No, it's true.
All I'm saying
Freddie,
is,
when was the last time you bought weed?
I can't.
Bro, exactly. Bro. You're kind of
time out.
whatever's available to you.
No.
That's whatever you have to buy, bro.
And it's funny that
you can hit up a whole bunch of different guys.
It's funny that you say that. It's funny that you say that. For legal purposes, I cannot release names or anything, but I know 3 people personally. I've known these 3 people for over 10 years. 2 of them grow their own stuff, so I know what they're giving out and I know what they're intaking. There is people that
but these people, like, let's say these people are short-time suppliers, you know. At any moment,
they've been doing this for a very long fucking time.
But their inventory is capped to some point, right? There's no franchise, nothing behind this.
I haven't seen their
saying, "Hey, you ran out of this strain. Let's go resupply you."
You can't call the main warehouse and be like, "Hey, we need to resupply."
Again.
This Girl Scout cookies is fire. They're liking it down here. When can we get more?
Hey man, serious question. I'm not gonna we're not gonna be taken off the air or repercussion because of what I'm saying, right?
What are we saying? I mean, what do you think? As you said,
we're just talking politics, man.
That I know people that back to his question.
Hey man,
this is an entertainment podcast. People, if you take any of this seriously, again,
hypothetically, Freddie knows of 3 people.
Yeah, hypothetically,
that's just what he's saying on air. You hit him up later. Hey, he's not gonna know anymore.
Yeah, I don't know any damn thing. But hypothetically, I know and I've heard of 3 people that grow their own shit. So if, like you say, if they ever run out, bro, there's more coming.
Yeah, but you're at that time when you go to buy weed and they don't have any sativas, you're like, fuck, okay, well, I'm going to be on the couch smoking an indica later on because I have no choice, you know.
But
also, what you were saying is, I mean, I feel at some points I get to the point where I smoke more marijuana than I should, you know, and that enables.
You just realized what you said, right?
I just been known, yeah, but it's okay.
Okay.
I'm all right disclosing that.
His social security number is 462.
No, but there's
and look, Joaquin is responsible. He can make his own choices.
Yeah.
Word. I'm not out there having kids either.
Yeah.
Okay, so but yeah, like at any point I could abuse marijuana and I could use it as a drug, not as a medicine, as what it was intended for, you know.
Can I tell you something?
What?
If you can go to the corner store right now and buy a 40-ouncer, this is my other argument.
But that's what I'm saying. Responsibly, you're not gonna drink that 40-ouncer. Like, you're not gonna drink a 40-ounce every 2 hours.
Why you don't know me?
Yeah, I was about to. You don't know me.
You're not gonna do that, and no one's gonna look at you like, oh, that's a productive motherfucker buying a 40-ounce every 2 hours.
Bro, let me tell you something. At the peak of my drinking, because this is another thing I'm not ashamed to admit. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I've been sober for almost 9 years. At the peak of my drinking, bro, let me tell you something. I was able, you know what the measurements look like on liquor, right?
Yeah.
Okay. At the peak of my drinking, I was able to go through a 5th of Jack throughout my day, and I'd be fine. I'd be tipsy. I'd be in the zone, and I'd be drunk, but I could still do the functions of my daily day. I would still clean, go pay bills. I will throw it out there. I wasn't driving, and I wasn't driving because I didn't have a car. So I had to get the subway and the bus everywhere that I went. Point is that I was still productive enough to do what I had to do. The reason.
But let me tell you this: you were probably inebriated at some point, and you were. I mean, you were maybe getting stuff done, but to the level of like. The level that it should have been, like, you probably were getting them done like at 75%.
I was paying bills, bro, and washing clothes and cleaning my apartment.
Yeah, but you take weed, okay? You take something like marijuana,
which I've done that too.
I mean, but you could get high, realistically, every 2 hours, and it not cause the same effect as alcohol. You know?
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I think there's a certain point of alcohol where you drink so much of it and you start to fall asleep. Same thing with marijuana.
Definitely.
If they're exactly the same way, I mean, if they're the same thing, you could see people abusing it. And all people, they're not the same, you know? Like, take me, like, I'm fairly productive, but if I drink too much or if I smoke too much, that's when I start to become a couch potato.
Now, what I was saying is if I can go right now to the corner store and get me a 24 ounce or a 20 pack, whatever, right? We're talking about the recreational now. Why is it, and it's legal, you know, I can do this, and it's proven that more people have been killed by drunk drivers than a lot of other shit. You know what I'm saying? So why is it that I can't go to a corner store and pick up a 20 bag? You know what I'm saying? Just because I want to.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that's preventing that.
Mostly federal law.
Yeah.
I get it. But why? You understand what I'm saying? Like that's the thing. And I'm just saying this off of what you said. That you're saying that you're cool if it's like for medical purposes or whatever. But I'm also saying,
I mean, recreationally, yeah.
Yeah, like why?
But
like,
if you're gonna do it recreationally,
if we were in California right now,
yeah.
But
I think no job would want you to come to work high as a fucking kite.
I
you know, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's realistically, like, I don't think there is a way to recreationally use marijuana in the workplace or be a part of something that needs your 100% attention.
But you know why though?
Medically, maybe. If you have a medical prescription and a medical need to be smoking marijuana.
But you know why? Not more so because
smoking the weed.
Not more so because you wouldn't be productive. It's more so because the company that you work for, and I'm saying in general,
yeah,
any company that you work for, at that point, like everything else that may put you under the influence, you become a liability, right? So that's what they don't want.
And that's another thing that I wanted to touch on while you were saying this, is that I think there is a difference between being productive creatively and being high on marijuana, and be productive socially and all other aspects that a 9-to-5 job requires you to be, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you have to be kind of on top of your game when you're at work, and they expect you to be like 100%, you know?
Yeah.
And if you're taking something medically to help you be at that 100%, then more power to you. Do it.
Yeah.
You know, but as far as right now, I think there's people.
Let me ask you another question.
Yeah.
To kind of counter what you're saying. So why is it that that marijuana is illegal and you can't use it in the workplace because of the reasons that we just discussed?
Well,
but hold on, this is my point. But you can get prescribed what's it called?
Pain pills?
No.
Xanax?
No. The name's on the tip of my tongue.
Methamphetamines?
Yeah, but what's the name?
Ritalin?
No, not that shit.
The
What's it
other
called? One, the famous one, the fucking for attention.
Yeah, Ritalin's one of them.
No.
But I'm blanking on the other one.
Fucking. I need to remember the name.
Yeah, but those ADD medications, the main component into them is methamphetamine.
Methamphetamine.
Yeah.
And they're legal.
Yeah, they are legal. But if you can prove that you have a need for that, because methamphetamine, I don't think it's a problem if it's in low doses and you're microdosing. You know?
Okay.
If it's you're abusing these prescription pills and you're taking them,
I mean, if you abuse anything.
That's what I'm saying. Like, let's say marijuana gets to that point where it is doing that, where it is medically legal in Texas and in all illegal states, you know? I think there is going to be people out there abusing it.
But again,
you know, I mean, we all know, dude, people in California, whenever it was medically legal, they were abusing of it too. You know, bullshit.
But you gotta understand, man. You gotta understand.
The only reason it's illegal is for there wasn't lobbied correctly whenever it was first like being discovered as a problem.
But
you know, it was being lobbied as like, hey, this is a drug that is gonna like bring these minority issues into white American homes.
Now, the only thing is something that you need to understand, and the rest of the world, along with the government, needs to understand, is that no matter what the drug is, it's gonna be abused,
Yeah.
whether it's legal or illegal.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a population of people. There's 7 billion people on the planet. You can take 100 of them.
Yeah.
Out of those 100 people, I guarantee you,
Yeah.
15 will abuse whatever's on the table. And you know why? Because as human beings, there's a lot of us that are just wired to do that.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, man, along with you and the government, that's not a valid excuse.
Yeah. I mean, well, I get you too.
to
Like,
not-
I don't think people enforcing and making laws for marijuana reform and laws for marijuana in general, I don't like that all these people have no experience with marijuana.
No.
You know?
What I was gonna say was this: you have to get to a point, because, like I said, the abuse is not gonna stop.
Yeah.
And the drugs are not gonna stop. They're always gonna be there. This is where you have to get to the point where you have to balance.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, but I think the first thing to do for that balance to happen is to legalize these drugs that we have problems with, so that way we're not throwing these people into one category as criminals. No, let's give them the help that they need. They're addicted to substances.
Exactly. So somebody brought up a question. I was watching a podcast, and they asked him, and I had never thought of this. They were like, "So how would you solve the war on drugs?" You know, and it was such a simple answer. And it sounds so crazy, but the more and more I thought of it, and it makes fucking sense. The way you solve all these issues is you legalize everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything legalized, and then what you do...
I think I've tried to make that case on this podcast before.
Oh, I heard it somewhere else. I didn't want to shut up the
Well, hey man, I think there's at least one Democratic candidate that's running in the race, and I want to say it's Yang, but I could be wrong. But I know at least one of them has floated the idea of full drug legalization.
Yeah. Now, my point is just because I'm saying legalize everything.
Well, if you look at places like Spain recently legalized, and they took it a step further. They not only legalized heroin, but they made it administratable through clinics and hospitals.
And that's where I was going. The point of like legalizing everything is that if you legalize everything, you can not only regulate everything and do what you're saying, but because the government is always money hungry.
Yeah.
Everything is money. So not only do you regulate everything, but you also open doors for all that fucking income. You know how much tax money they're gonna get if they regulate everything?
Ton,
so that's
hey, shout out to all those drug dealers that do their taxes the right way.
But by the way, I just want to throw out there that the thoughts and views expressed by our cameraman are solely his and not of this podcast. But yeah, man, if you legalize everything, you get to tax everything, and that's a shitload of money that is coming in, and you get to put a little dent into that fake ass $1 trillion debt.
No, but think about what you
have.
do. I mean, you're gonna be pumping in like pure drugs into like people's bodies. You're not gonna be.
They're already doing it.
I mean, they are, but the dosage is wrong. You know,
Yeah, that's
people
what I'm saying.
are overdosing.
So again,
and if
you
someone
regulate it.
overdoses, like in Spain specifically, like people legitimately they go to work. They go on their lunch break to the clinic to go get high, and then they go back to work.
Yeah.
But they stay
And
there.
and what are they doing?
They're working.
After they
come back.
exactly.
But you know what? You're giving them a place where if they overdose, they're safe. They're in a
There
hospital.
was if I'm not mistaken, there was I think it was in Sweden. There was one clinic. It wasn't a clinic. It was a rehab. So this rehab, what made it unique and different from the rest of the rehabs in the world, was like you could go there for whatever problem you had, right? If you were an alcoholic or heroin addict, whatever it was, but you're trying to quit, like you're trying to drop the habit completely.
Yeah.
So what they did like a fucking reverse psychology shit. So what they did, and I don't want to misquote them. Maybe it wasn't illegal drugs. I think it was just alcohol. I don't want to fuck it up. I think it was just alcohol for like really severe alcoholics. So what they did, they enrolled in that program. They're trying to quit, whatever. A lot of these people were homeless. They would go pick them up from the homeless or whatever, and they would give them an apartment free of charge, no rent, as long as they were in the rehab program. What they did was they gave them an unlimited supply of beer. They would go to the little counter. They would sign out, like if you were checking shit out. How much you want? Oh, give me a 12 pack. I just need a. And some people would go, bro, and they would get 24 packs. Like the thing was that you could only get one at a time. You need to get it, finish it, come back and get another one. You couldn't fucking get it in bulk and stock it in your room or whatever. But you would go and get the beer or whatever. And they would just give it to you free. They wouldn't charge you anything. You had a place to stay. You could leave whenever you want. You could come back whenever you want, so on and so forth. But you did have to come back like that. You couldn't leave for days and then come back. You had to come back that day or whatever. So, long story short, what they figured out is the more the drug or the beer was available to them, the less they wanted to use it.
That's been my argument for cocaine for a while now, man.
I don't know about all that, but
well, no. I think we've had this conversation, man. I think a lot of the deviant behavior that comes around from cocaine usage
it's because it's illegal.
It's hard to get. And think about it. If it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're like, well, fuck it, I just finished an 8-ball. I want to do another fucking, 8-ball. Like the guy that's going to be awake at 3 o'clock in the morning, probably not going to give you top quality product.
Of course not.
So whatever you're going to do from him, that's going to be finished twice as fast.
Yeah.
And now it's 5 o'clock in the morning and you got to find.
Again.
Yeah, man.
And there was a lot of badass motherfuckers that did coke, bro.
So what I'm saying
cocaine
is that
can be used responsibly, but it's one of those that like if you want to get wild,
what's that drug from that movie Limitless?
I have no idea. What do you
the
trying
name
to get at?
for the
Yeah, I don't even know what Limitless is, dude.
the movie? No, but what we were talking about, you said Ritalin, and that has that.
Oh, the other ADD medication.
Yeah, what's it called? It's Ritalin, and there's another one.
Oh, fuck.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's
Adderall.
Adderall.
Yes.
There you
go.
There's even a fucking movie about it, the Adderall Diaries.
Yeah.
I think those are the Prozac Diaries, wasn't it?
No, it's the Adderall.
Dude, when you start looking into like Provigil, I think maybe it's not Provigil, maybe it's Modafinil. Most definitely, man.
Yo, Modafinil kind of mimics meth, bro.
I've never
without a lot of the metabolic side effects.
Yeah, I mean that I see as like a drug that it's easily abused too, but a lot of like the negative side effects that it has, it's not even to equate to 1/3 of the like negative side effects that Adderall and Ritalin and all these like methamphetamines have.
Yeah. Oh, so to like cap off my story on that rehab shit. Yeah. That was in the whole country. Like I said, I think it was Sweden or whatever. That was the most successful rehab that they had as in far as recovery.
The numbers they were getting?
Yeah, there was alcoholics that had been alcoholic for 25, 30 years. Mm-hmm. And these people left their addiction completely. Mm-hmm. They stopped drinking like completely. And then not only did they stop drinking, but they in turn, a lot of them turned into counselors at the same facility. And what do you fucking know? Now they have a job, and they were homeless. Yeah, you see what I'm saying?
That's another job market that is like people as governments get more lenient towards drugs. Yeah, which I think they are. I think that's the trend with everyone right now.
You know what?
Those jobs are going to be at risk because those jobs. I mean, you're going to stop hiring counselors that are addicts, and you're going to start hiring like. They're going to be more professionalized counselors.
But what did you say earlier? Wouldn't you rather hear it from a person that's been personally through the experience than through somebody that maybe has never fucking ever experienced what it's like to be high on
I mean, but sometimes, I mean, you may want it the other way. You may want the medical.
I understand. Again, we go back to the same thing.
If you could get someone that's with the medical background,
balance, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So you're saying you want a crackhead that has a PhD would be the best.
Yo,
thing.
dude, I've known a couple crackheads
with PhDs.
Yeah, dude, with PhDs.
Yeah. I was going somewhere else with it.
No, but I don't think there is a war necessarily with drugs.
Yeah, there is. You're just oblivious to it. There is.
Not with drugs.
Look
with drug use.
Look at the jails and look at their sentences and look at why they're there.
There's still places in this country where you can go and it's like 1999 all over again. They're kicking in doors on a regular basis. Yeah. They're using military equipment to go after.
But I don't see as far as like maybe maybe law enforcement with cartels, there is a war.
No.
But as far as like users with the government, it's a straight up. It's a straight up injustice.
There's still places in this country where you can catch jail time for having a joint in your pocket.
Exactly. That's exactly where I was going.
But to say that it's a war, the person being charged with having that joint has to be fighting back, and more than likely, he's just an innocent bystander to these laws.
It's the same fucking thing, dude. It's the same. The war is on drug, not on the person.
I think the war is on how the drugs are getting in here, not the drug itself.
If there was no drug, there wouldn't be no war.
They have to pull these people into jail to get...
Okay, I wouldn't necessarily argue on that as the grand scale.
Yeah.
But to be honest, man, there are people fighting the war in a very stupid fashion where what they are going after is the symptom, which is the end user that is being socially, detrimental in some fashion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like very rarely, now don't get me wrong, there were points in time where this was the case, but very rarely are you going to be smoking a joint in your living room and have the front door kicked in by the sheriff's department.
Yeah.
But
what I was going to say, and I want to point this out because it would make a lot of sense with what both of y'all are saying. Today, dude, in 2019, there is, like Sean is saying, there is doors that are being kicked down in Compton, California. For drugs, for a joint in your ashtray, for a joint in your pocket. And keep in mind, California, a state where for recreational use.
But that's what I'm saying. The reason those doors are getting kicked down is maybe not because of that joint. The reason that they got them in there was because, hey, they have a joint that'll give us probable cause to go in there. But the main reason that they want to be in there is probably to collect information.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, but they're not like focusing on the drug. They're focusing on the criminal activity around the drug.
And, right, and what's the basis? What's the basis of the criminal activity? The drug.
Well, yeah. I mean, but then you get into like a whole a paradox of like what came first, like the chicken or the egg. What I'm saying is it's like an injustice what's going on between the user and the government. The war is being fought between the cartels or whoever.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's
no, but think about it, man. The whole argument behind say, all right, we were talking about that Ed Calderon interview on Rogan's podcast a while back, and he pointed out very succinctly that when marijuana ceased to be profitable, most of the efforts were switched to, originally my understanding was they were switched to methamphetamines, but the way he was saying it, their major push is heroin, which is...
he did say that.
Okay, well, now here's the thing, man. We kind of went through this thing where we don't have recreational opiates in this country. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's totally a thing. People totally use opiates for recreational use, but legally speaking, we do not have
time out. Unless I'm confused, mushrooms are not considered opiates?
No, they're they're what they call? So hallucinogens.
Okay.
But psychedelics, there you go.
I'm fucked up.
Yeah, opiates would be specifically like opium based,
okay.
Heroin, morphine,
fentanyl.
Yeah, well, fentanyl is one of those things where it's like, why does that even exist?
Bro, I mean, it has a purpose, bro.
That's like when somebody shows you like a fucking like an edible gummy, and they're like, "Dude, this is 2,000 milligrams," and you're like, "Why?"
I mean, if you're gonna die, dude, I
Yo,
would say
I wanna
take
say
it for the
something.
ride,
I
you know?
want to say something before I forget, because I've been trying to do this for the last 2 episodes. And I think it would be a great subject that we should bring up on the next, if we don't have a guest, or
Right.
maybe even if we do, depending on the guest. But we should bring up on the next episode. When we come back, also, if we could, all 3 of us do proper research on it, so we can bring factual shit. But I would like to talk extensively on shrooms. Shrooms and the 2 states that have now legalized them fully, and the effects, the trips. Also, because I've never done them, I don't think I will ever do it. And the reason why is because with every drug that I've tried, I'm the type of person that I always like to be in control no matter what, and like in control of myself. So I know for a fact that with shrooms, I'm not gonna have control of me.
No, it's not like that. Like,
No, I've seen people say that they've seen themselves outside of themselves.
it's they said it like that because shrooms, they're very weird in the fact that they make you look at yourself for what you really are. You know.
I don't think
My understanding, the best understanding I've ever achieved was that it breaks down. It's kind of like synesthesia all over. You know what I mean? You're not only hearing colors and seeing, textures. That's your imagination and reality kind of blur. There's no longer that.
There's no longer that line. I've heard that too, and it kind of intrigues me.
Yeah.
That I've heard a lot of people say that they hear colors.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
what
like,
I'm
what
saying.
the fuck do you mean? Bro?
But it does it all in the sense that it shows you that, hey, these colors that you're hearing and these colors that you're tasting and you're seeing, it's all you.
Hey man, is blue really cold?
I mean, it could be cold if you register it like as cold.
Yeah,
So anyway,
that's-
we don't have to go into detail,
but I think that'll be a good, like you
Okay,
said.
but here's the thing, man. Mushroom's one of those weird things where it's almost impossible to. You can't abuse it. I've seen people abuse mushrooms, but there's also this weird effect where the more you take of it, your body stops responding.
Yeah, you stop getting as high on the
Yeah.
shrooms.
it's like marijuana.
Yeah, well, there are people who are walking around today that could eat a whole fucking ounce of shrooms and not feel a
Yeah.
goddamn thing because they blew themselves out.
You know who can probably do that for damn sure? Joey. I'm pretty sure that motherfucker could take a pound, bro, and he wouldn't feel shit. Have you ever seen him take the fucking Death Stars?
No.
Dude, there is 350 milligrams of THC in each one. I've seen this dude take 5 at a time. Like just. And then Rogan asked him once, he's like, hey man, do you plan not to do anything for the rest of the day? And he's like, oh no, I'm good. I got some shit I got to do and then I'm going to go to bed, but I'm going to be good.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to sleep like a baby.
Well, dude, the video that keeps getting thrown around is that one he did with Owen Benjamin a couple years back, where dude,
and that he zoned out.
Dude, he was like, I'm gonna go outside, and just never came back.
Yeah, and he called them or something, and that he had taken off.
Yeah, I think so, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that'll be a good discussion. The especially with the medical research that's being done with mushrooms.
And if we
Because I've heard of medical side effects that mushrooms do have, positive medical side effects, and having experienced some of them, it'll be nice to know the science behind why all this stuff happens.
I've also heard, because again I've never tried them. I've also heard, in a nutshell, that when you take shrooms, going on to like the medical benefits of it, I've heard that in a nutshell, it's kind of like hitting the reset button on your brain. That's what I heard.
Yeah, it feels like that.
I'm not. I mean, I don't know.
It even like kind of encases you with this like little blanket that kind of rids you of depression for like a couple days.
Oh shit.
Yeah, where you're like feeling really optimistic. I mean, in most cases, I think if you do way too many than what you're comfortable with, then I think maybe it might have like a scary kind of effect on you where you're like, fuck, dude. I learned my lesson.
You know who we should.
But that's very similar to
marijuana.
A PTSD. Oh. Well, yeah, actually, I've seen people that kind of have gotten like a PTSD response from marijuana.
You know who we should bring in to have this conversation for a personal experience
aside from Christian.
Yeah, Roy. I think Roy would give us a good explanation.
That's right. Shout out to the boys over at the Not Suitable for Listeners podcast. They just put out that episode where they dosed up.
Yeah, and
I've been meaning to sit down and listen to that one.
Yeah, man. So I think if we can, we should try to reach out to him again for next time we record. I've been trying to get him in here solo.
Oh yeah, man.
Anyway.
I just had Roy on last night. I was doing one of the Comics Table episodes. I had him and Joseph on, and he told me that you'd been reaching out to him, and yeah, man. So hopefully we'll get Roy Alex Gomez in here at some point. Maybe not specifically to talk about mushrooms, but
well, that's kind of what I wanted. But
it's like, man, I'm doing this new claymation thing. It's like, nah, fuck that, Roy. Tell me about that time you got fucked up on them shrooms, dog.
Pretty much, man. But coming back to us, it'd be kind of cool if we take just a little time just to kind of like research.
I thought you were gonna say take a little mushrooms.
Well,
micro dose. I do want to touch back real quick. Joaquin over here was talking about the whole is the war on the end user type of thing, and how do you shut out the criminality behind the drug market? And I think marijuana has proven very conclusively, man, that we are domestically and legally more than capable. I mean, dude, we've got states that have surpluses of legal marijuana product that they can't do anything with. Like, nobody's buying it. They're selling this shit at discount prices, man.
Yeah.
You could probably buy... Huh? Oregon, Washington, because they can't sell between states. So
okay.
So the state's making this for themselves, but then they're making too much of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, if you're buying,
can you imagine having too much?
Bro, dude, why do you? All right,
that would be the shit.
I don't think I'm telling secrets out of school, but one of the reasons that marijuana prices here in Texas are as low as they are is because we're right fucking next door to both New Mexico and Colorado.
Yeah.
Those motherfuckers produce some good fucking weed.
Yeah, man.
Shout out to you,
and
Dusty Mountain.
And you know why Denver got so much weed?
Real American.
So much good weed, man. It's that rain, man, from the mountains. You can't.
It's the air and the elevation, bro.
Yeah,
I mean,
and the elevation.
Dude, that don't explain New Mexico, man. They got some good weed out there, man. That's just a dusty ass drive.
See, that's the thing, dude. Weed could the marijuana plant could prosper in any environment, bro. And to see the difference.
Okay, dude,
I've seen it grow in an aquarium, so I believe you.
To touch this base, to touch back on this and make it seem like we planned this all out. You were talking about, you brought up, we had talked about the adaptation of the human species, man, like how adaptive we are as a species. Marijuana is basically plant people, man. Like, you stick it in an environment, and from generation to generation, it's just like, how do I do this better? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you're right. Another thing that a lot of people do not know, one of the best strands of marijuana available now is actually grown in Afghanistan.
I would say bullshit, bro.
Yeah, I
mean, I think,
forgot the name, but it's a strain that I think only comes from Afghanistan.
I don't know. I would say
I can't remember the name though.
I would say though that the years of growing stuff outdoors is we're almost gonna get past that. I think.
Well, yeah, because now you that's another good thing and fear thing at the same time. Now that these people have learned how to, because now they're into fucking cloning plants. Like in a lab, they're cloning the molecules of like a plant and shit.
Yo, but this was done back in the 80s and 90s, bro.
I get it, but I don't think that is all the way a good thing. Because then you don't want to be smoking all the way some synthetic shit in a lab.
No, it's not synthetic. What it is...
No, well, you know what I mean, though. I don't want... at the end of the day, I would prefer a real plant. Okay, I would prefer... I would perform
for a room full of plants and just be me, these motherfuckers.
In harmony and shit. We light them on fire. No, but I would prefer a real plant over some shit that was produced in a lab.
But it is a real plant.
No, see, there you go.
See, this is the argument behind like genetic modification. It's like, well, we've been genetically modifying plants for thousands of years, and it's like, okay, yeah, the argument isn't, over those thousands of years, people had to eat it and go, okay, is this killing me? No, okay, we're gonna keep eating this. Whereas, like, some of the shit
Somebody had a great joke. I want to say it was Cat Williams. I'm butchering the shit out of the joke, but he said, "I don't understand. I don't understand why these motherfuckers are still so adamant that we've genetically modified everything else but food." There's some people left on the planet that think that all of our food is still very organic. It's like, we cannot modify food. Like, motherfucker, have you been to McDonald's? Like I said, I'm butchering the joke, but it was something along those lines, and I think his punchline was, have you been to McDonald's? But yeah, going back to what you were saying. I don't think I would want to smoke a plant that was created in a lab. That's my point.
I mean, the way I see it, I respect that. I mean, that's your choice, but the way I see it is, it's a plant.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it would ever completely dominate the market, even if it was available and cheap enough to do, because of the fact that you can do modification.
So why don't you smoke the other shit?
I do. I mean, I smoke whatever is available, but the more potent stuff is the stuff that's being done in the lab.
And that's why we got...
Okay, but by lab, man, are you talking about, like, I mean, most of the, like, the cloning?
Freddy's definition of a lab. It's not a real science lab. It's just a clone.
You're talking about a greenhouse, basically.
Greenhouse products.
There's nothing wrong with that, man. But we are getting to the point where motherfuckers could actually gene sequence a strain and...
Yo, and I'm down with that too. Because I think that's how they're battling this
Hold up, because we're missing a big connecting point here. I'm referring to what he just said. I wasn't saying what you said. He said we're getting to the point where what did you say?
What, they're gene sequencing it so that they can literally clone the plant.
Exactly. That's what I don't want. I know what a greenhouse is. I know how it works. I know what they do.
Well, you know how plant cloning works in a greenhouse, right? You take a clipping off of the plant and you basically grow an exact copy.
Yeah. It's the same thing you do with fruit trees.
Yes.
The difference between like marijuana and fruit trees, and actually this was an issue for a while. I think we may have gotten past this, but there were strains that were in danger of dying off because they were almost predominantly based on getting clones from, like, say, a couple of dozen different mother plants.
Yeah.
So there is an argument to be said, okay, if we could gene sequence these mother plants, like, they're proven and tested. Okay, cool. We clone this exact one and then use that for further breeding. But anytime we want to touch base, say revigorate the
strain.
The strain, you can go back and get the mother plant. That's where you get your science and greenhouse, shit together.
Yeah.
But
and
or your laboratory and greenhouse.
I want to point that out. Like that. That's it. That's what I was referring to. What I was referring to is that
what's the bad in doing that and getting something that's been sequenced?
What's the bad in eating McDonald's?
I don't think it's bad if your body can sustain it. I mean, doing it in in a manner where you're doing it all the time. No.
Like you said yourself.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of mentality.
Yeah.
That has gotten the world to where it's gotten it today.
No, but that's what they're doing for medical marijuana.
Let me give you
people.
let me give you this example.
You know?
Have you watched that movie? Super Size Me.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what?
Okay, a lot of that movie was bullshit.
Well, my point is, what happens if you eat McDonald's every day?
I mean, you get fat as fuck, and you start.
No.
To have
Are
heart
you
problems.
working out at the same time?
No. You just
What's the rest of your life look like? You in a happy relationship? How's your cortisol levels?
I just feel that again, McDonald's is not a healthy choice because of the shit that it has in it.
Yeah.
All I'm saying, go back to the marijuana. I don't want a fucking plant that was whatever the fuck word you used, basically created in a lab.
Yeah, but I see the purpose. I don't see.
Okay.
I see the purpose.
Whether you want to smoke it or not, that's your choice. But I think there's a need because there's people out there with specific like disabilities that marijuana does help. And if we could retract some of the negative side effects that certain strains have,
they've done that. That's how they came with CBD oil.
Freddie, just to be
yeah, but that's how they do it.
let me jump in here because to be clear,
Still
the
comes
issue
from a real plant though.
the issue with having the lab grown plants is that if it can't be taken out into the field and like don't get me wrong, greenhouse growing is great, you know what I mean, like controlled environment, all that shit's good, you get beautiful fucking strains, top quality stuff, and it allows you to be very controlling with what you're doing with the plant. But if you can't then take those genetics from those plants and grow it outside in the dirt, then it's fucking useless.
Exactly.
Like, it's one thing to say, like, oh, if you take this strain and grow it outside, it's not going to be top quality.
And believe me, bro, because I rarely agree with this motherfucker right here. But, but I agree 1,000% with what he's saying. But we
yeah, you don't. It's like bananas, man. Like, we have a problem right now where we're going to have a fungus issue with bananas where it could wipe out, like, I mean, and this is the first time it's happened, man. Like, since bananas are so genetically related, like, it's just a bunch of inbred little yellow fruit, all over the place.
So I mean, I don't even fucking like bananas. So it's not my problem.
Yo, if you like coffee, bro, this whole thing with the bees affecting the coffee genealogy,
that shit. That is a problem. The fact that we're running out of bees
stop
and
killing bees, people,
and nobody's doing a fucking thing about it. That is a problem.
Just to be clear, man, it's certain varieties of bees. There are other it's not like all bees on the planet are going to go extinct, but like there are.
Well, the ones that we need.
Yo, nah, dude. All bee lives matter.
I'm not gonna fucking lie. That shit was funny. That is a marketing fucking thing. We should make shirts out of that. All bee lives matter, bro.
God damn it, Joaquin! You take this W and you go away.
So, on that positive note of all bee lives matter, I think we should end that on a positive note.
Yep.
We're coming up on 2 hours. I think our audience, if the little ones that are still here, they've heard. How did we get from fucking abortion to marijuana?
Yo, with freedom, bro.
It's amazing how closely those are related.
Yeah. Word.
Just get high one day, look around your life. It's like, I'm not ready for kids.
Exactly. Get high, save a life.
Yeah, before you're about to go do something without any protection, just get high first.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I would even recommend if you are thinking about fucking somebody, get high with that person first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See how do they fucking spit on the joint? Do they fucking do they triple hit?
Yeah.
Puff puff pass.
Do the parent, your co-parent.
Do they inhale the motherfucker? I can't have somebody that motherfucker, you wasting my weed is what you do.
Do they know how to cure the tip? That's important. You gotta have a girl who knows how to cure the tip.
Oh shit.
Word. And smoke the joint too.
Yeah.
So with that being said,
Tell them where they can find you.
Y'all can find me. Why the fuck do I keep looking over there? I keep looking at Snoopy and shit. And I'm not even high. Y'all can find me across the board on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Freddy G.
You can find me at hatfieldstandup@gmail.com as well as on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to reach out to the podcast, you can get in touch with us at bouncingbrainspodcast@gmail.com. Bouncing Brains Podcast on Facebook. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We got a group on there. You can get in there, share all kinds of good stuff.
Word.
Let us know what's going on. We've got it's Bouncing Brains for Twitter and Bouncing Brains on YouTube. You can find us on Stitcher as well as the Google Music Play Store app.
Yes.
Yeah. And and if you'd like to download the audio version of this podcast, you can find us on shoutengine.com/Bouncing Brains. And you can listen to the live premiere of new episodes, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. On RGV Titan Radio, rgvtitanradio.com.
Word.
Did I cover all the bases?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yup. And I was going to say some other shit and I forgot.
Don't be a dick. Peace.
Until next time, keep it tight. Start recording. Hey, real quick. Let's go. Can I get a cigarette from you?
There was someplace else I was going with this. I don't remember what it was. I think that's all the promotional shit. Folks, thanks for listening. If you're listening to this on your way to work, you got better things to do, homie.
Okay, have a good one.
Peace.
Until next time, keep it tight.